Two groups quarreled in the streets. When the pushing began, a larger man dramatically fell, prompting the opposite side to likewise lie down, mimicking dominos. Potentially, they recognize that the first to lie down is perceived as the victim, possibly ensuring legal compensation. This is the reality in China under the CCP's legal system, where universal values are overshadowed by an unfair legal system. This crash for cash scheme involves fraudsters deliberately throwing themselves in front of vehicles, demanding compensation for self-inflicted injuries. Given the sheer audacity, many of these acts look hilarious. Another video shows a woman with a headscarf desperately trying to launch herself onto a white car's hood. The driver reversed to avoid her, but she persisted, feigning injury. Angered, she soon dropped the act and confronted the driver. Ironically, a traffic officer captured the entire charade. Such comical incidents seem unique to mainland China. Reports from Chinese media detailed the exploits of a Shanghai man, identified as Xu, who from 2015 deliberately collided with vehicles while on his e-bike to extract compensation, an incredible 55 times. On some days, he managed to stage up to 5 accidents. Over 5 years, Xu amassed over 170,000 yuan, approximately $23,233. One netizen lamented, "My sister got conned and now fears driving. She had to foot the medical bills for the scammers' fake illnesses." In mainland China, crash for cash has practically become a profession. On September 24th, another such incident occurred in Fujin City, Heilongjiang. An elderly man attempted the scam on a Volkswagen. A woman who appeared to be the driver's companion tried to intervene. The enraged driver attempted to run over the scammer, inadvertently knocking down his own companion in the process. Overcome with fury, the driver brandished a kitchen knife, charging at the scammer, who miraculously seemed to sprint faster than usual. Thankfully, he struck with the blunt side, avoiding a major incident. Comments online joked about the scammer's sudden agility. Clearly, while scamming might be lucrative, it also carries significant risks. Another senior citizen tried the same trick on the street. After 2 drivers successfully evaded him, his third attempt saw him stopping a car. Perhaps due to his persistence, the infuriated driver rolled over the scammer's leg. Hearing the old man's cries of agony, the driver contacted his insurance and dialed emergency services before leaving the scene. Upon arrival, the scammer's daughter demanded full medical expenses and an additional 150,000 yuan, approximately $20,500. The driver retorted that the elderly man was a professional scammer, refusing to take responsibility. The case ended up in court where the elderly man was deemed malicious, disrupting normal traffic. He was ordered to compensate the driver 30,000 yuan, around $4,100, for emotional distress. Many individuals are willing to take significant risks to scam drivers in a tactic commonly referred to as throwing porcelain. For example, a video shows a middle-aged woman from Maoming, Guangdong, attempting to scam a police vehicle. Despite officers' efforts to remove her, she stubbornly clings beneath the car, and even when dragged out, she immediately goes back. Her audacity to challenge the Chinese police in such a manner is nothing short of remarkable. Another video features a man trying to scam the driver of a large truck. His plan was to crawl under the front of the truck, forcing the driver to stop. However, the truck rolls over his thigh and he collapses, his fate uncertain. Another video captures a man attempting to throw himself under the wheels of a speeding car. The man tilts backward, landing directly beneath the vehicle's wheels, leading to his head being crushed. These dangerous antics gambles one's own life for a small payout. Online, countless videos document such scams. A simple search for China throwing porcelain yields numerous results. Why is this phenomenon so widespread in China? Generally, without solid evidence of large-scale fraud, lawsuits are uncommon. For many victims, it's more pragmatic to pay a small sum than engage in disputes or navigate China's challenging legal system. Instead of spending thousands of yuan, hundreds of dollars, on litigation with the risk of losing, many prefer to settle for 200 yuan, tens of dollars, and move on. According to the Wall Street Journal, anthropologist David Schack explained that the term throwing porcelain originally referred to deceitful shopkeepers placing porcelain items in areas where they could easily be knocked over and broken. Modern iterations of this scam began appearing online in China a few years ago, turning the scammers into subjects of mockery and public entertainment. Schack states that those engaging in such scams are typically motivated by a mix of laziness, desperation, and thick skin, seeking to earn a dollar or yuan. The famous Peng Yu case in mainland China once sparked intense public debate. On November 20th, 2006, Peng Yu, a Nanjing resident, kindly helped an elderly lady named Xu Shoulan to a hospital after she fell on the street. Tests revealed a fractured femur requiring a hip replacement. Instead of expressing gratitude, Xu demanded medical expenses from Peng. He refused, asserting his genuine intentions to assist, and was then portrayed as the one at fault. After failed mediation, the case was taken to court on January 4, 2007. On September 5th of that same year, Judge Wang Hao of Nanjing's Guluo District Court delivered a controversial verdict. He deduced, based on common sense, that Peng Yu, being the first to exit his vehicle, was more likely to have collided with the elderly woman. The court argued that if Peng genuinely wanted to help, he should have waited for the elderly woman's family to arrive and let them take her to the hospital. Instead, he took action that seemed contrary to common sense. Peng Yu was eventually ordered to compensate Xu Shoulan 45,876 yuan, over 6,000 USD. The verdict sparked significant public debate due to the court's reliance on common sense rather than concrete evidence, which many saw as inconsistent with legal principles and professional judgment. Following this case, several similar incidents arose, leading to a growing reluctance among mainland Chinese citizens to assist the elderly in public settings. In an increasing number of similar cases, the Supreme People's Court highlighted the Xu Yunhe versus Wang Xiuzhi road traffic accident personal injury compensation dispute case on July 25, 2014, which was dubbed by netizens as the Peng Yu case redux. Assisting an elderly person who has fallen is a commendable act encouraged in any nation. However, in today's moral decline, benevolent acts can lead to unwarranted blame, causing many to refrain from aiding others due to the fear of being falsely accused. In a society where law, social ethics, and morality are deteriorating, more and more elderly individuals find themselves fallen without assistance. Videos depict elders collapsing on crosswalks surrounded by numerous vehicles and pedestrians, yet receiving no immediate help. An elderly individual remained on the ground for an extended period until a woman in a yellow dress approached but eventually left without aiding. The elderly person's efforts to rise were in vain until a vehicle pulled over and several men assisted him. He was later taken to a hospital by medical personnel. In present-day China, distinguishing genuine victims becomes challenging. Pretend victims often triumph. Day by day, acts of goodwill are betrayed by malicious intent, with non-assistance evolving into a self-defense mechanism and indifference becoming a reflex. Not only do some Chinese citizens engage in staging accidents for compensation, but the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has also been implicated in similar tactics. Recently, maritime conflicts arose between the CCP and the Philippines in the South China Sea. On October 22nd, 2 collisions between their vessels were reported, with the incident alleged as a deliberate provocation by the CCP. According to Voice of America, the Philippines accused the CCP of executing hazardous maneuvers in the South China Sea. This led to a collision between a Chinese Coast Guard vessel and a militia vessel with a Philippine supply ship and a Coast Guard vessel, respectively, near 2nd Thomas Shoal, known in China as Ren'ai Reef, on October 22nd. Following the collision, the Philippines condemned the CCP for its risky provocations, while the CCP counterclaimed that the Philippines were staging the accident. The Philippines then released video evidence. Based on their statement, at 6 a.m., the CCP's Coast Guard ship 5203 made a dangerous interception of the Filipino supply ship Unaiza May 2, resulting in a collision audible in the video footage. Furthermore, the CCP's maritime militia ship 00003 collided with the port side of the Philippine Coast Guard vessel MRRV 4409. The Philippines reported that the collision damaged the supply ship's aft column and dented the Coast Guard vessel with no reported injuries on board. The Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has not chosen to stir up trouble near its own border, but rather has provoked at the doorsteps of other nations. The second Thomas Shoal, where the incident occurred, is located merely 200 kilometers from the western island of Palawan in the Philippines, while it's over 1,000 kilometers away from China's nearest landmass, Hainan Island. In response, the Chinese Coast Guard claimed their actions were justified and legal, placing the entire blame on the Philippines. This is throwing porcelain on a military scale. The United States, Canada, and Japan, among other nations, have strongly condemned the CCP's illegal and perilous actions. U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines Mary Kay Carlson stated on Twitter that the U.S. condemns the CCP's recent disruption of the Philippines' legitimate supply mission, emphasizing that this puts Filipino military personnel at risk. She asserted that the U.S. will defend the sovereignty of the Philippines and support a free and open Indo-Pacific region. The Canadian Embassy condemned the CCP's vessels for their illegal and hazardous conduct, labeling their actions as unfounded. Canada further stated that China has no legitimate sovereignty claims over the West Philippine Sea, and its actions do not comply with the obligations of signatories to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas, UNCLOS. At the same time, the Canadian Embassy expressed support for establishing an order in the South China Sea that complies with international law, including adherence to UNCLOS and the 2016 arbitration ruling, which the CCP once dismissed as a scrap of paper. Japan's ambassador to the Philippines, Koshikawa Kazuhiko, expressed his grave concerns and shock regarding the incident. He posted on Twitter his support for the Philippines' stance, stating that Japan strongly opposes any unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or intimidation. On the 22nd, Australia's ambassador to the Philippines also voiced concerns about the CCP's damaging Filipino vessels and disrupting the Philippine supply mission. He said, "The South China Sea is a crucial international waterway for all of us. We once again call for peace, stability, and respect for the UNCLOS." Australian Ambassador Peng Yu echoed this statement on Twitter. The Philippines issued its strongest condemnation, denouncing the CCP's actions as provocative, irresponsible, and illegal. Their hazardous interception violated the Philippines' sovereignty, sovereign rights, and international law. The widespread occurrence of scams reflects a moral degradation in mainland China's societal values. On one hand, there's the evil of the scammers deceitfully preying on others for money. The success stories of these scammers, akin to crime movies, sadly become learning materials for others, illustrating how evil fosters more evil. Conversely, there's the good in those who instinctively help when they see someone in danger. Yet, many incorrect judgments mean that justice often goes unprotected, with compassion being repaid with betrayal, turning kindness to resentment and indifference. Kindness gets eroded by malevolence, leading to tragedies where fallen elderly aren't helped. Nevertheless, the true value of kindness lies not only in choosing to be kind when supported, but in maintaining kindness even after betrayal. Society should champion goodness, but many opt for wickedness because it often brings swifter and easier gains. While scammers are inherently malevolent, the phenomenon doesn't represent the entirety of the Chinese populace. Under the CCP's regime, theft of foreign technology is brazenly flaunted, religious beliefs are oppressed, and those seeking justice face hurdles. Isn't this national-scale scamming? An old Chinese proverb, "when a house's upper beam is askew, the lower ones will go awry," suggests that if a nation's leadership is wicked, can its people be blamed for following suit?